So last summer I made another visit to Iceland, and this one was a little bit different because it was the first time going out there with my wife and daughter. Usually I go out there on photography road trips, but yeah, this one was a visit with the family, and it was absolutely amazing. Everybody loved it. It was their first time out there. It was my first time visiting in summer, so got to see midnight sun, which was absolutely epic. And it was a family holiday, but I took a reduced kit, and that kit included my Canon Sure Shot Supreme 35mm point and shoot camera. This thing is a little beast. I wanted to take it because it was very nostalgic to be shooting film. That's what we took on family holidays when I was growing up, and with my daughter being there with me, I wanted something just for a little bit of fun. So I picked up a couple of rolls of Kodak Ultramax 400. The aim with these two rolls was to just go out and shoot some nice images, but to not overthink the process and to just be happy with the outcome, whatever that may be. Now, some of them I really like, others are okay, but should I ever go down the route of creating a film portfolio or even potentially a photo book, they wouldn't make the cut. So the first image I've picked out is one that probably wouldn't make the portfolio, but I do quite like it. While we were walking around Reykjavik for the last couple of days of the trip, I saw this tall crane working on a development site in the city, and I really liked the way it looked. Now, I couldn't get far enough back to create some more space around the crane in the frame, but I quite like the way that it looks with the boom part of the crane going diagonally through the frame. It was an overcast day, so the sky's obviously quite grey, but yeah, I just kind of like this image. Alright, so up next is a shot taken at one of my favourite locations and one that I've shot many times on previous visits. So in the frame here we have Vestrahorn and Brunhorn taken from the Stokksnes Peninsula. The light was so good when I was taking this image. It was really late in the evening. I think it was around about 10 PM, taking full advantage of the long days during summer in Iceland. I love the orange hits in the water from the low sun in the sky at that time of the day, and the pale blue in the sky just really completes this image for me. And this is definitely one that will make a potential portfolio or photo book in the future. Right, so this next one is Valnes, I think that's how you pronounce it, Valnes Lighthouse, which is right near Mount Vestrahorn on the southeast corner of Iceland. Now, like a lot of lighthouses in Iceland, this one is painted in a very distinct colour, this one being orange. It's very bright, very vivid. I really liked how it looked with this. I think it's like a communications tower, communications mast next to it. Again, not 100% sure. But as you can see in this image, I've gone down like this slope, this decline, which goes from the top where the lighthouse is. It goes further down to the top of the cliff and then down to the sea. So if you're going that way, be careful not to slip. It's not very steep, but you could land yourself in some trouble if you're not careful. Okay, so this next image isn't brilliant in terms of composition, but it kind of means a lot to me. I've shot it a lot of times. Now, it's a statue in Vik in Iceland on the south coast, and it's one of a pair of friendship statues. As I said, this one is in Vik. The other is on the riverfront in the city centre of my home city of Kingston upon Hull here in the UK. And they were commissioned to commemorate over 1,000 years of seafaring trade between Hull and Iceland. Now, the setting in Vik is definitely nicer, not to say that there's anything wrong with where the one is here, but it is just so nice to have such a strong bond between home and Iceland. Okay, so this image was taken on the drive down to the Stokksnes Peninsula. We spent 2 days in this area, and as we were driving down the winding road, we spotted this lone reindeer. If you can make him out, he's just in the middle of the frame. It was there on its own for the entire 2 days that we were kind of back and forth along this road off of the Stokksnes Peninsula, and he was just kind of bimbling about, eating grass, not really doing much. There was a couple of horses about, but usually you see reindeers in groups. It was just a bit strange to see this one wandering around on his own, But yeah, he seemed to be enjoying himself. Snapped this image, got a few on the digital camera, but snapped this, kind of liked it. My daughter just called him Sven from the film you've probably all seen. Yeah, I really like this one, and whether or not it would make the portfolio, I'm not too sure, but hey, we'll see. Okay, so this is another of my favourite locations in Iceland. It is Skógafoss waterfall. It is one of the most visited locations in Iceland, and for good reason. It is absolutely stunning. There are dozens of ways you can shoot this from different angles using different foreground elements, and I've shot it from both sides of the river just a lot of times, in snow, not in snow, with hordes of people standing in front of it, and on one occasion on this trip with nobody in front of it because I was there at 1 a.m. and I managed to capture it with absolutely nobody there for the first time. That was on my digital camera. I didn't really shoot the film at that time of night. Now this one, I shot the exact same image on my digital camera. I was laid down in this grass that you can see in the foreground, and I kind of shot it with a digital camera handheld, and then I shot it with the film camera, and in all honesty, I prefer the film shot. Right, so this one, there's not really a lot to say about it. It is a rib on the Jökulsárlón glacier lagoon. We stopped off there despite there not being a lot of ice in the lagoon at the time. It looks like there is in the background, but there wasn't as much as there has been on other trips to it. But it was a great experience, especially for my wife and daughter, because they've never been before, but they got to see it, they got to touch some of the ice that was washing up on the shore of the lagoon. And despite being low on bergs, there was still quite a lot there, just it wasn't as full as usual. So the guys on these ribs, these little boats, what they do is they go around and they push the larger bergs about, because they need to get them to go out of the estuary, out of the lagoon, and then they go into the sea, and then they break up and eventually wash up onto what is referred to as Diamond Beach, one of the black sand beaches out there in Iceland. And if you've ever been, if you've ever seen any photos of it, it is absolutely amazing when it's littered with icebergs. Unfortunately, on this trip, there was almost none washed up because it was the middle of summer and it doesn't happen in the same way that it does in winter. This one is one that would potentially go into a portfolio or a photo book. Really happy with it. Love the colours, love the tones. Yeah, absolutely happy with this one. All right, so for the final image of this video that I'm going to go through with you, we're heading back to the Stokksnes Peninsula to see another image of Mount Vestrahorn. Now this is by far one of my favourite locations that I've ever shot at, and having had the opportunity to shoot it in many different conditions, I'd never shot it before in kind of like the midnight sun. This being my first time to shoot in the summer, I was definitely going to take full advantage of that. And once my wife and daughter had gone to bed, I went out from about 10 p.m. and I shot till around about 1 a.m. and that is when this image was taken. And look at that light, that glorious light that we can see in this image. Now I must stress that none of these images that I've shown you, none of them at all, have been tweaked in any way, shape or form, apart from possibly aligning a few of them. And I can't remember which ones I did, but some of them were a little bit off with the alignment. So I've tweaked them before posting them. But no edits whatsoever. These are just the scans as they came. So this is how it looks straight from the camera. And it looks fantastic in my opinion. That reflection in that smooth body of water, that is just a giant puddle that is from when the water comes onto the peninsula. It's kind of like an inlet. It leaves behind giant bodies of water. So this is like a huge pond, really, a small lake even, if you will. And if you can see in the background, there's actually a camper van just pitched up at the other side of this body of water, taking in the amazing views. We spent 2 nights at the Viking Cafe, and it was just amazing to stay in the shadow of Mount Vestrahorn. Again, one of my all-time favourite locations. Okay, so that's it for the images. I'm not going to go through any more with you. I hope you enjoyed them and I hope you've enjoyed this video. So would I recommend shooting film? Yes, I definitely would. If for no other reason, it is a bit of fun. There is cost to it. The film alone and the processing is reasonably expensive. So if you're not into it that much, I definitely wouldn't recommend doing it a lot. Definitely wouldn't invest in a lot of film. you do have to kind of look after it. And then obviously, like I say, you've got to find somewhere that can process it. I'm lucky enough to have somewhere like a 20-minute drive away that will do it, and I'll have the scans back within an hour. But yeah, if you're into that kind of thing, if you're into a bit like some nostalgia, then yeah, definitely go and shoot a little bit of film. You can pick film cameras up. You can pick some film cameras up for next to nothing. A lot of charity shops have film cameras in. A lot of online outlets like eBay, for instance, they sell a lot of film cameras. There are some ridiculously expensive ones out there, but yeah, you can pick them up for not a lot. I got most of mine through people giving them to me, some house clearances and stuff like that. Some have been handed down from family members. A couple of them are really sentimental to me. But yeah, just have a go if you feel like it. And if you've got some recent film stuff that you want to show me, drop some images in the comments. Let's have a discussion about it. All right, so that's it for this video. I hope if you're from that era, it brought back some nostalgia. It made, gave you some feelings of the good old days, if we will. That's making me feel really old. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, drop a comment. Let's have a discussion about film photography. It's always great to talk to people about it. And give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Always appreciate that. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. So thank you to everybody that has interacted, and yeah, appreciate every single one of you. So that's it for now. Until the next one, see ya.